Hello and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. I'm your host, Jared Hymas, and in today's episode we're going to go full on speculation mode here about when the next time I believe we're going to get some major news about Lorcana is, and why that day is January 27th, 2023. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Alright, hey everybody, so like I said at the outset, this episode is going to be pure speculation based on a couple of quotes or pieces of evidence that I found to suggest that the next time we're going to get the next major news dump on the Lorcana card game is January 27th, 2023. Now, I'm not guaranteeing what will be revealed and what won't be revealed. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything about the game is going to be revealed on January 27th, because that would be dumb on Ravensburger's part. But I am saying that on this date, we can expect some substantial news. So before we get to that point, I want to take a little trip down memory lane. So for those of you who have been following along about the news surrounding Lorcana since it was first announced, you probably remember what it was like during those days. I think it was announced a week before D23, and it was so exciting. People were talking, there's so much buzz. I even remember there was a YouTuber who's part of the Lorcana HQ Discord named Jonty, who got a bunch of images from the different artists that were designing for the game and threw them into an AI algorithm to generate the first Lorcana cards. It was hilarious. They were so bad, but they were funny, and I'll never forget that. And then D23 came, and it was amazing. These cards were gorgeous. And all throughout the day, people were posting pictures of the line to get into the Lorcana or the Ravensburger booth at D23. People were posting pictures of the cards. They were posting pictures of meeting with the people, the designers, and the people who worked there. It was just such an exciting time. And then for the next several days, we digested these cards. We dissected them. We picked them apart. Every pixel on the card, every number, every word, we sat there and sifted through, tried to decide what it could mean, how the game was going to play. It was just a lot of fun. But then there was just nothing. Nothing from Ravensburger since then. And to be fair, they set and created that expectation that we wouldn't get news until 2023. It was almost comical in the interview that Ryan Miller did with Dicebreaker. The person kept asking him questions, and Ryan would say, "Can't talk about that until next year." The guy would be like, "So can you tell us more about the story behind Lorcana?" "Not until next year." "Can you tell us more about how the game works?" "Not until next year." And then he asked another question, and Ryan was like, "Standard question, standard answer." And so that expectation was there. However, and maybe it was just mostly me, but I know there were quite a few of us who were hoping that they might at least want to capitalize on this hype train a little bit by communicating with the fan base. And the reason why I suspected that was because I don't think they were prepared for how excited people were going to be for this game. And this was evidenced by the fact that on the first day of D23, you could buy 2 sets of the collector's cards. And then on day 2 and day 3, they limited it to 1. It seems like they weren't expecting as big of a reception as they had. But the other thing that really gave me hope was those of you who follow me on Twitter know that ever since about 17 days after the end of D23, I started doing a meme a day that I will tag the Disney Lorcana Twitter account and the Ravensburger North America account. And I can't remember the exact day, but it was somewhere in the 20s. I posted a meme. It was the one with the guy who's playing Uno, and there's a blank space, and then it says, or draw 25 cards. And then the next picture shows him drawing 25 cards. Well, in the blank space, I put, give more Lorcana news, or draw 25 cards. And the Ravensburger North America account actually responded to that tweet. They responded with a gif of Kermit the Frog sitting at his typewriter, pounding away on the typewriter. And the tweet said, keep your eyes on our socials. We have exciting news and announcements coming up. So this was the major thing that gave me hope that we would get some information before 2023. And so throughout October, that excitement slowly started to fade. I mean, by mid to late October, I had given up all hope. I've wondered why they just went silent like that. And I came up with a couple reasons. Number one, they didn't say specifically when they would give the news and announcements. But that doesn't make sense because why would you post that if you're talking about, see, I told you, keep your eyes on it, and 5 months later, here's the news you were looking for. No, that doesn't make sense. The other thing that I came up with was they didn't specifically say it was going to be Lorcana related news. They just said to keep an eye on their socials. But again, that doesn't make sense because it was specifically in response to my tweet that said, give more Lorcana news or draw 25 cards. So Sugi, who is a podcaster on the Lorcana cast, came up with a theory. He thinks that the Disney corporate stepped in and probably shut them down. I speculate that Ravensburger North America probably did have some announcements and news that they wanted to make, but somebody higher up put the kibosh on it. And so it's just been silence. It's like if you met somebody and you were best friends, like instant best friends, you wanted to hang out every day, and you're like, hey, we should hang out again sometime. And then your friend was like, yeah, let's do it. And then you don't hear from them again for months. That's what it feels like. It feels like we've just been left in the lurch. The only sort of news that we've had came from 2 game festivals in Europe. The first one was Spiel in Germany. And at this game festival, Ravensburger actually had like a lunch presentation. But there's no media there. There's no journalist. There's nothing about it in the press. But this was the game convention where they revealed the names of the colors: amber, ruby, emerald, amethyst, steel, and sapphire. But if it weren't for a couple of people who were in there that took pictures of the slides and then put them up on Twitter and Instagram, we wouldn't know. We would have had no idea that this even happened. And again, I can speculate on why they did that. Maybe they were testing to see just how far the information would go without them spreading it. I don't know. Maybe there's no reason behind it. Maybe it was just a thing they were contractually obligated to do. Who knows? But the other gaming festival that happened in Europe was in Italy. It was called Lucca. And a Ravensburger employee, Riccardo Fabiani, sorry if I butchered your name, I probably did. He did a sit-down interview with somebody from the game festival. And again, it was in Italian. This was streamed on YouTube. Well, it was streamed on Twitch and then put on YouTube later. But I don't speak Italian. We do have a member of the Lorcana HQ Discord who was actually at the Lucca Game Festival. And he watched this video and kind of told us what happened in it. And basically, the guy told us what we already know. The only kind of news that we got from this was they tightened up the release schedule. He mentioned that there would be some pre-release events in August of 2023, which Gen Con, I think, is August 5th through the 7th. It's the beginning part of August. And then he said that the game would release in September or October to the general public. So that tightened up the release schedule. But otherwise, it's just been silence. I mean, I guess a few days ago, today is November 28th as I'm recording, I think it was on the 22nd, there was actually a tweet on the Disney Lorcana account. And again, it didn't say anything new. It was just like, in Disney Lorcana, players will take on the role of Illumineers to summon glimmers of their favorite characters. It was something along those lines. And we all freaked out. At least I did, because it was nothing new, but it was the fact that they actually posted. For me, that means that some tripwire has been set off. Something has happened. Some employee at Ravensburger's calendar finally reached the point where they said, okay, let's start this marketing campaign. But again, if it was the 22nd, it's been over a week since we've heard from them. I am optimistic that we'll get more content like this. And look, that's all that we were looking for this whole time. It's not like we were wanting to know all the information about the game. Okay, I do, but I would have been happy with an announcement of an announcement. Like, hey guys, we were so excited to see you at D23, and we look forward to talking to you more about this game in January of 2023. But instead, all we got was, we'll talk more about it in 2023. Well, that's a long time. And the game's going to release in fall, so you have potentially from January to August or September. But if they just said something like that, that would have made us happy. Or if they had just done like little teasers, I don't know, any sort of communication, and a lot of this tension would have gone away. So that was a lot of rambling, and it brings me to the point of my podcast now. So it's been pretty quiet, and I decided to go back through this interview that was done at Luca and take this with a giant grain of salt, because number one, the interview was done in Italian and I don't speak Italian. Number two, I uploaded the video to a transcription service and they transcribed the video into written text. But I have no way of guaranteeing or verifying that the transcription was correct. And then number three, I had just used Google Translate, but another user in the Lorcana HQ Discord, username Surreal, had it transcribed from Italian into English. So what I'm trying to say is take it with a grain of salt. And this is all in fun and speculation, but I just get a good feeling about this. And the reason why I say that is because when I read this quote, it's not going to sound like normal English. But you can get the generalities enough to understand what the individual was trying to say. So the guy who's doing the interview asked a question like, so this game is going to be for casual players in addition to competitive players. The Ravensburger employee, Riccardo Fabiani, I don't fully understand how he responded immediately. He said something like, yeah, you won't have to chase it. I don't know. But then he said this, and this is pulled directly from the translation. He said, clearly, one thing I can tell you is that the centenary will be revealed next year. Not a real revelation, but it will be Disney's centenary, and therefore it is a symbolic date for the launch of the splendid game that it will have. So what he's trying to communicate here is that next year, Disney, the Walt Disney Corporation, will turn 100 years old. A quick Google search will tell you that the corporation was formed on October 16th of 1923. Hence, the celebration D23. And next year is 2023, so 100 years. So he could be implying that the game will be released on the centennial, October 16th. It would definitely line up with that time frame. But it would be a weird thing for him to say that would be the day that it will be revealed. When you Google Disney 100-year celebration, you will see that on January 27th, 2023, they are having a big celebration. There's going to be festivities. There's going to be the press there. There's going to be a big to-do about it. And for me, that seems like the perfect opportunity for Ravensburger and Disney to talk more about this game. And when I posted this in the Lorcana HQ Discord server, I got some pushback on it. Some people had mentioned the fact that, well, yeah, the celebration is on the 27th, but it goes all year round. This is true. However, they're not having specific media days and celebrations about it all year round. That day, specifically January 27th. And the other pushback that I get from this is that it's so far in advance, which is true. It is really far in advance. But I would counter with, so is D23. I have a feeling that Ravensburger probably didn't want to announce their game a full year in advance. But I feel like Disney wanted them to have something at D23 because it was the last D23 before Lorcana comes out, and they wanted people to get hyped about it. But the same could be said about this centennial celebration. I feel like, again, pure speculation, but I could see Disney putting some pressure on Ravensburger to have some sort of presentation because people are hyped for this game. And I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to say everything about the game. The different types of cards, different characters on the cards, the different songs, gameplay mechanics. Because honestly, this would be foolish for them to reveal everything all at once. This was another thing that Sugi had talked about from Lorcana Cast, is that Ravensburger is actually in an interesting position right now because the game is out there, people know about it, and people are intrigued by it. And unless a person just hates Disney and hates the idea of playing with Mickey Mouse or Elsa, people want to learn more. But once Ravensburger reveals the rules and the different cards, people are going to be able to come out and decide, yeah, I'm going to give this a try, or no, I'm going to pass on this. But right now, they have that leverage where people are interested. As long as if they don't reveal everything, they're going to continue being interested until the game is released. So if I had to guess, I would guess that maybe at this maybe at this centennial celebration, they will release maybe a new card type. I mean, in these interviews, they talked about how you'll be able to wield the power of songs, which I imagine will be like spells and magic. So maybe they'll reveal this new card type. And of course, there will be people out there who will theory craft and build prototypes of this game. But the vast majority of people will just see it and be like, that's really interesting. And then I feel like as we get closer to the summer, probably starting in June, that's when we're going to start ramping up with more and more information about the game. But that's my thought. That's my theory that we're going to have our next major news dump on January 27th, 2023. So what are your thoughts? Am I way off base on this? I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're going to find out at some point. But in this time where we just aren't getting much information, it is fun to speculate about things like this. So let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Citizens of Lorcana